We're ready, Your Honor.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Judge Salvia Smith Fox. I'm here to conduct your first appearance hearings this afternoon in Clayton County Magistrate Court. Let me have all the defendants please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the information you provided on your application for court-appointed counsel is true and correct? If so, say I do. All right, thank you. You all may put your hands down. I want to go over a few things with you so you understand the nature of these proceedings. I'm not here to take a plea or to try your case. Instead, I'm here to advise you of what you're charged with, if you have a bond, if so, what that bond amount is, and when your next court date will be. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing. But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if your case goes to trial. During this and all other proceedings, you have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The right to indictment by grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors. The right to a speedy and public trial by jury. The right to see, hear, and cross-examine all witnesses that are called to testify against you. The right to compel the attendance of witnesses in your own behalf by subpoena. The right to testify and offer other evidence in your own defense, should you choose to do so. But should you choose not to do so, no presumption of your guilt may be raised. The right to have an attorney represent you, and at this point, I will appoint an attorney to represent each one of you. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds. Those bonds may be posted in cash, commercial, or property bonds. If you post a cash bond, you will deliver the full amount in cash to the sheriff. After the final disposition of your case, you will receive all of that money back. If you do not have the full amount in cash, you can go through a commercial bonding company. These are private companies. They charge different fees, typically about 15% of the amount of your bond. Once you pay this money to the bonding company, you will not get that money back. If you decide to post a property bond, you would need to find someone that has at least 3 times the amount of equity in their property as the amount of your bond. All of you will have a special condition on your bond which prohibits you from violating any laws while you're out on bond. Some of you will have additional special conditions which will prohibit you from contacting certain people or going back to certain locations. Understand that this court takes these special conditions very seriously. If you were to violate any of the special conditions, your bond would be revoked. Additional charges could be added. You would not be entitled to a new bond while you are awaiting trial. You violate the no contact provision, charge of aggravated stalking could be assessed. You could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison and fined up to $20,000. For family members that are going to assist you in posting bond, they may be able to view this hearing on YouTube or can contact the sheriff's office after this hearing to find out your bond amount. Now, if there is someone on the warrant and there's a no contact provision, the sheriff's office will not allow that person to post your bond. If you're currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set a bond for you. Also, some of you are charged, may have some charges where this court is not authorized to set bond. In that event, I will give you a bond date where your bond will be heard before a superior court judge. Also, if you have a felony charge, your preliminary hearing will be set for August 10th. If you have a misdemeanor charge, it will be set for August 11th. Now, if you have only misdemeanor charges, I'll give you the option to waive that preliminary hearing on August 11th and expedite your case to state court. If you decide to waive your preliminary hearing, you'll get a hearing date in state court in about 10 days. If you bond out, that hearing date is automatically going to be waived by law. You'll get your next court date in the mail. If you have a felony charge, you will not have the option to waive your preliminary hearing. You have to wait and speak with an attorney first. I'm going to begin calling you all up individually so I can let you know what you're charged with and what your bond amounts are. Going to start with Jasmine Carey. And after Ms. Carey will be Shayla Miller. All right. Good morning, Ms. Carey. Ma'am, you're charged with aggravated assault. Your bond is $15,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you? Do you want me to read the warrant or do you think you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, we read the warrant now.
Okay. Indicates on July 4th, 2020 at 4711-B2 Waldrop Drive in Forest Park, Jasmine Toisha Carey did commit the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did pointed a black handgun at her live-in boyfriend, Marquivas Shields, and threatened to kill him if he was cheating on her with one of his co-workers. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Marquivas Shields.
Okay.
Also a special condition not to return to or go upon the premises located at 4711-B2 Waldrop Drive in Forest Park. You can contact the sheriff's office to get an escort to take you back to that property to get your personal belongings, to go back one time. Special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is going to be August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Do you believe that you'll be able to post your $15,000 bond?
In cash?
Cash or through a bonding company or a property bond?
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, leave the bench. Judge Fox, are you going straight down the list or you want to do?
I'm gonna do all the females. I'm doing the females from yesterday's calendar first and then from today's calendar. Next is Shayla Miller. And then after Miss, I think those were the only two on the calendar from yesterday. And then I'm starting with the females on today's calendar. After Miss Miller will be Stacy Clayton. Are you Miss Miller?
Yes, I am.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am. You're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
I'll wait.
All right. Ma'am, you have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Also not to have any violence or harassing contact with Jeffrey Miller. All right. I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Would you like to waive your preliminary hearing and expedite your case to state court?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. They'll have a waiver form for you to sign. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $2,000 bond?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Stacy Clayton, and after Ms. Clayton will be Leandra Haddad. All right. Are you Ms. Clayton?
Ma'am, good morning.
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, you are charged with violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, possession of MDMA, and suspended license. Your bond on the BGCSA is $6,000 and the suspended license is $1,500. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
Oh, ma'am, I was.
All right. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $7,500 bond?
Yes, ma'am, as long as I can make a phone call.
All right. And your preliminary hearing is going to be set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, ma'am.
What day?
August 10th.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right, Leandra Haddad, and then next will be Angel Jones.
Do you have a Horton?
What's the first name?
Adriana?
I do, but it has her listed as Adriana Denise Turner.
Oh, okay,
Well, I
okay,
mean, I have Horton and Turner, but
okay.
you're Miss Haddad?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then next after Miss Haddad will be Angel Jones. Miss Haddad, you're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
Waive it?
Okay. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're on bond. Also to have no violent or harassing contact with Jose Antonio Haddad. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $2,000 bond?
You said no contact with him?
You can have contact, but you can be, cannot be violent or harassing contact.
Yes,
All right. Do you think you can post your bond?
ma'am. Yeah.
Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing to expedite your case to state court?
No, ma'am.
All right. Your hearing will be set for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, ma'am. All right, Angel Jones. After Miss Jones will be Shakira Mulgrave. Are you Miss Jones?
Yes.
All right, good afternoon. Ma'am, you're charged with simple battery. After reviewing the warrant, I did not find probable cause for the simple battery charge. So I am going to dismiss that. So you will be, unless you have any other holds, you'll be released on this charge after this hearing, after they process the paperwork.
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Shakira Mulgrave, and then next will be Kaylee Price. All right, are you Miss Mulgrave?
Ma'am.
All right. Ma'am, you are charged with fleeing or attempting to elude police. $5,000 bond, aggravated assault. After reviewing the warrant, I did not find probable cause for that. I dismissed that charge. Obstructing an officer, $5,000 bond, and then no license, a $1,000 bond. So you have a total of $11,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
Can you repeat to me, please?
On July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at Highway 85 Bethsaida Road at approximately 2:50, said offender did operate a 1999 GMC Sierra bearing a Georgia tag number REJ 9730. I made contact with the offender and asked for her state-issued driver's license. The offender stated that she did not have her driver's license on her person, but advised that she did in fact have a valid license. The offender was ran through Clayton County Communications and advised that the offender was unlicensed. I advised the offender of her driver's license status. She then said, "Can I go to jail for that?" I replied, "Yes, ma'am." The offender then began to reach for her car keys and place it into the ignition. A small tussle ensued and offender sped off in the vehicle. While I was inside the vehicle successfully sped off but crashed into the wood line. All right.
That's true, ma'am.
All right. Okay, and um, all right. Actually, now that I've read the warrant again, I'm gonna keep the aggravated assault charge. You have a $10,000 bond on that charge. Do you think you'll be able to post your bond, ma'am?
I have to get in contact with my family. They don't know where I'm at.
Okay. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is going to be set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Kaylee Price.
Yes, ma'am.
After Ms. Price will be Deanya Rogers. Ms. Price, you're charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license. Your bond is $1,500. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
I would like them read to me, please, Your Honor.
Okay, it indicates on July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, 5174 Riverdale Road in Atlanta. That offender did operate a black 2018 Toyota Camry, Indiana temporary number on a public highway in Clayton County, Riverdale Road, after admitting to not having a driver's license when asked for her information. Ms. Price provided a picture of an Indiana ID card. At that time, her information was ran through GCIC, NCIC, and returned that she was unlicensed. Therefore, had no privilege to operate a motor vehicle. Said offender, said offense was committed in Clayton County. All right, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $1,500 bond?
Your Honor, I just have one question. Okay, I heard what you explained about the bonds and everything, and when you say 1,500, that's a cash bond, correct?
Cash, or you can go through a bonding company or a property bond. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
What date is this set for, ma'am? But prior to that question, I apologize.
It's set for August 11th.
I would definitely like to waive that.
Okay, they will have a waiver form
I mean,
to sign. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you so much.
Deanya Rogers. After Ms. Rogers will be Adriana Turner or Horton. It has both names listed. Are you Ms. Rogers?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You are charged with improper lane change, $500 bond, driving on a suspended license, $1,500 bond, and driving under the influence, $5,000 bond.
Okay.
You waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
No, I don't want to read to me.
All right. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you can post your $7,000 bond?
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to do it through a bonds company.
Do a bonding company. Okay. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I have
So
one.
they'll have a waiver form for you to sign. All
Okay.
right.
I didn't get my Miranda rights read to me.
Okay. I've appointed an attorney to represent you, so just make sure that you talk with them about your case, okay?
Thank you.
Adriana Denise Turner.
Adriana, yes. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good afternoon. After Ms. Turner will be Lamel Edwards. All right, ma'am, you're charged with driving under the influence, too fast, a $5,000 bond, Too fast for conditions, $500 bonds. Improper lane change, $500 bonds. And open container violation, $500 bonds. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
No, I understand the charges, ma'am.
Okay. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're on bonds. I have appointed an attorney to represent you. Okay. Do you believe you'll be able to post your bonds?
Yes, we posted before I came.
Okay. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No, I can make that date.
Okay. If you bond out, it's going to automatically be waived by law and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
want to waive it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So they'll have a waiver form for you to sign and then you'll be excused. Thank you, ma'am. All right, Lamel Edwards.
Yes.
After Mr. Edwards will be Kendrick Finch. All right, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, I don't understand.
Are you Mr. Edwards?
Ma'am.
All right, you're charged with theft by shoplifting. Your bond is $2,000. Obstructing an officer, $1,500 bond. Loitering or prowling, $1,000 bonds.
Mention something. I don't remember none of this because like I
Okay, hold on, sir. I understand. Let me read the warrant to you. It indicates on July 5th, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 1210 Highway 138 that you did commit the following violations of Georgia law: theft by shoplifting, criminal attempt, obstruction of a police officer, and loitering. And that said offender did attempt to appropriate a carton of cigarettes from the incident location after the offender was asked to leave by the attendant because the offender did not want to pay for the cigarettes in an attempt to deprive the owner of the property. The offender did attempt to reach behind the counter to take a carton of Newport cigarettes worth $6.36, which were above the cash register behind the attendant's counter. The event was captured on the store's security camera, which officers observed with the complainant, Binod Ray. While making contact with the offender, he attempted to leave the incident location when officers arrived, pulling away and refusing to give his name to officers, which officers eventually had to detain the offender until an investigation was completed and he was placed in custody. The offender was hanging out at the incident location, starting at approximately 0300 hours until this incident with taking the cigarettes at 0734 hours. This incident occurred at 1210 Highway 85 in Riverdale, Clayton County. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your bond, sir?
It's a total bond.
4,500.
And what would that be?
All right, do you want to waive your preliminary hearing, sir?
I'm not, ma'am, could I understand? I don't even understand none of this. I was on this.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it for August 11th, give you an opportunity to speak with your attorney. August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. Ms. Tolles, are you there? I'm sorry, who do you have? Do you have someone?
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor.
I know it's afternoon now.
Yes, I saw a Mr. Ibarra Lara on the list, but I'm not sure if he needs me or if he's bonded out. There were two other names I saw, but they were listed as out to bond.
Does everybody speak English?
Ms. Tolles?
Yes, now I can
Okay,
hear
I can hear you now. You said, who do you have?
Mr. Mario Ibarra Lara.
Okay, is that the only person you have?
I think so. The other two, Mr. Benitez and Ms. Perez, were listed as out to bond.
Okay, I'm gonna do him. Are you Mr. Finch?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna do Mario Ibarra Lara after Mr. Finch.
Okay.
All right, So then I can get you out of here. I know you might have some other court hearings to get to.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Finch, you're charged with simple battery. Your bond is $4,000. Criminal damage to property in the second degree, $2,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
No, ma'am, I can bond out. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, you have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Tania Rosemond and not to violate any laws while you're out on bond.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so they will have a waiver form for you to sign. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you got a question?
Yes.
All right, Mario Ibarra.
I just want to know how can I get my stuff from my house? It's okay. Don't worry. Thank you
She
so
gave you a
much.
special condition?
Yeah, she said just don't talk to her. It's okay. I'll get
Just
it.
make an appointment with the sheriff's office. when you leave.
Bam. That's all I'm gonna know to do.
Mario Ibarra.
Oh, he's out the bond, Your Honor.
Which one am I saying?
He's out,
Oh,
Your Honor.
all right, so that's simple.
Oh, okay.
He's
And
out.
everyone else is all right?
Is there anyone else in there that speaks Spanish that needs an interpreter?
Everybody else said they speak English.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Have a
Ms.
good one.
Coles.
Sure.
All right, let me have Tally Garrett. And after Mr. Garrett, Rayshawn Henley. All right. Are you Mr. Garrett?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon. Sir, you're charged with no tag, $500 bond, possession of marijuana, 1 ounce or less, $1,500 bond, open container violation, $500 bond, of a firearm by a felon, $10,000 bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
I understand. I can make bond, Your Honor.
Okay, you have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond, and your preliminary hearing is August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Now, if you bond out before August 10th, that hearing will be waived by law, and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, Rashawn Henley, and after Mr. Henley will be Christopher Houston.
I'll try to make it bond. I ain't gave you a real license. My bad.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
No, she talking, I told her to make bond now. She told me, you know, say something later. I guess I did. I told her to make bond. It's on YouTube. They don't talk about it.
All right. Sir, you're Mr. Henley?
And Miss Sam, Your Honor.
All right. Sir, you're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000, and simple battery, your bond is $6,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges,
If
or do you want them read to you?
if I can go in and see if you have the evidence that, so the situation that happened, I'm quite, now,
You want me to read the warrant to you?
I don't know exactly what she's saying about this. Yes, ma'am. I was at home.
All right, it says on the probable cause affidavit on July 5th, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 10396 Larac Trace. At approximately 17:15 p.m. did commit the following violations of Georgia law: criminal trespass, simple battery, family violence. In that, said offender did attack said victim, Gwendolyn Smith, age 70, by jumping on and wrestling with said victim. Victim is offender's elderly mother. Said offender took said victim's phone and advised police officer that he did not have it. Phone rang in said offender's back pocket and was determined to belong to said victim. Victim advised she was scared and ran for a nearby store to call police. Both parties live together in Clayton County. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Gwendolyn Smith. Also not return to or go upon the premises located at 10396 Larac Trace. you have any clothing or personal items, you can schedule an appointment with the sheriff to get an escort to go back to retrieve your personal belongings. You also have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Going to appoint an attorney to represent you. You believe you'll be able to post your bond?
Ma'am, I have SSI, that's why me and my mother stay together, but if I may say, she had rolled over on some cigarettes and was asleep, and that's why she.
Okay, I don't need to hear anything
Ma'am,
about the case. You have to talk with your attorney about that. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Whatever the best option is, so I can get the evidence correct, ma'am.
The hearing would either be August 11th, or if you want to waive that hearing, you can have a hearing in state court in about 10 days.
Yes, and today.
Okay, so they will have a waiver of the August 11th preliminary hearing for you to sign. Thank you, sir. Are you Mr. Houston?
No.
All right, and after Mr. Houston will be, can't pronounce the first name, Xaravius Kemp. Xaravius Kemp.
He's out to bond.
Okay, he's out the bonds. All right. I didn't want to butcher his name. Well, then Jaquavius Lissimore, do you have him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he'll be next after Mr. Houston. All right, Mr. Houston, you're charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license, a $1,500 bond, no tag, $500 bond, knowingly driving a motor vehicle on a suspended or canceled registration, $500 bond, improper lane change, $500 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Yes, Your Honor, I waive them.
Okay. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your bond?
Yes, ma'am, and I would also like to waive my preliminary.
Okay, so they'll have a waiver form for you to sign, and then you get your next court date in the mail. Thank you, sir. Jaquavius Lissimore. And after Mr. Lissimore will be Christopher Lovitz. All right. You're Mr. Lissimore?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Were you in front of, did I have you before a couple days ago?
Yes, ma'am.
This weekend? All right. You're charged with theft by receiving stolen property. Your bond is $10,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Formal reading of my charges, ma'am.
You want me to read them? All right. Warrant indicates on July 3rd, 2020 at Jonesboro Road and Scott Street in Forest Park, you did commit the offense of theft by receiving stolen property against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did knowingly, willfully, intentionally, and unlawfully receive and retain stolen property, to wit, a Glock 17, serial number VXE921, having an approximate value of $350, which accused knew or should have known said property was stolen and not being retained with intent to restore it to the owner. Said owner being Johnny Gaston, said property was stolen in an entering auto incident on September 21st, 2018, per DeKalb County Police Department. So I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your $10,000 bond?
Ma'am.
All right. Your preliminary hearing is August 10th at 8 in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. Christopher Lovett. And after Mr. Lovett will be Marcelin Harland.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon. You Mr. Lovett?
Yes, ma'am, I certainly am.
All right. Sir, you are charged with robbery, false imprisonment, and theft by taking. You have no bond set at this time because you're on 3 years probation in Fayette County Superior Court.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
I'm not sure what's better.
Oh, just, do you know what you're charged with? If not, do you want me to read the warrants?
No, ma'am, it's fine. Yes, I know what I'm talking about.
All right. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Catherine Williams. Also not to violate any laws if you are released on a bond.
So
I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is August 10th
yes.
at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202.
August the 10th.
August 10th. That's right. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, ma'am.
All right. Marcelin Harland. After Mr. Harland will be David Millwood. All right. Are you Mr. Harland or
Yes.
Mr. Marcelin?
Yes.
All right. Okay. You're charged with no license. Your bond is $1,000. All right. And I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, which means you can sign a signature bond. But if you don't have a license, then don't what? If you don't have a license, don't drive.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm gonna release you. I'm gonna let you sign your own bond. But like I said, I don't know if you have a license or not, but if you don't drive.
Yes,
You're gonna have a special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want me to read them to you?
I do not waive the formal reading of the charges.
You want me to read them?
No.
Okay. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I'm going to let you sign your own bond, you'll need to sign a waiver of the preliminary hearing, and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Okay. So I would have to go to Georgia. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, David Millwood. After Mr. Millwood will be Anton Russell. Good morning, sir. You Mr. Millwood?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you. Sir, you're charged with criminal trespass. You have a $2,000 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
No, ma'am, I'm good.
All right. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Also, you can have contact with Debbie Milligan, but it can be no violent or harassing contact.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm going there to get my trucks and my vehicles, no problem.
All right. Yes.
All right.
And then I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your $2,000 bond?
So I can make a phone call. I can make phone calls to come in here.
All right. They should let you make a phone call to do that. And do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So they will have a waiver form for you to sign. All right. Thank you, sir. Anton Russell. After Mr. Russell will be Sherrod White. Are you Mr. Russell?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. You're charged with burglary, $10,000 bond, criminal damage in the second degree, $5,000 bond, criminal trespass, damage to property, a $2,000 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
I'm okay.
All right. And you have a special condition to stay away, have no contact with Marion Hawkins and Justin Upton. Also not to return to or go upon the premises located at 2404 Dana Drive in College Park. If you have any personal property there, you can contact the sheriff's office to get an escort to go back to the property one time. Also not to violate any laws while you're out on bonds. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you're going to be able to post your bond, the total of $17,000?
Probably so.
All right. And your preliminary hearing is August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. White. After Mr. White will be Curtis Bowman.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you're charged with disorderly conduct, $1,500 bond, pointing a gun or pistol at another, $3,000 bond, death by taking, $2,000 bond, driving on a suspended or revoked license, $1,500 bond, obstructing an officer, $2,000 bond, possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, $10,000 bond, possession of a firearm by a felon, $10,000 bond, concealed weapon, $5,000 bond, theft by receiving stolen property, $5,000 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
You said, do I waive the reading, like reading them out?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And you have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond.
Okay, can I get my total bond, please?
Hold on.
All right.
All right. Oh, it indicates that you are on 5 years probation in Cobb County Superior Court. So on the weapons charges, the felonies, you don't have a bond on those charges, only on the misdemeanors.
But I was trying to tell them, I'm the one called the police up there because I took the weapon from the dude that pulled it out on me.
All right, I didn't do it. I didn't charge you. So, but I didn't make the arrest. So anything having to deal with the case and any defenses you have, you'll have to speak with your attorney about that.
So,
all right, I can't give you any legal advice from the bench. Only an attorney is going to be able to help you with that. So let me see, on the 2 possession of firearms, 1 during the commission of a crime and 1 by a convicted felon, you don't have a bond on those 2 charges because you're on probation. And your preliminary hearing is set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. All right, thank you, sir. All right, Curtis Bowman.
Bowman.
And after Mr. Bowman will be Shane Brown. You, Mr. Bowman?
yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you're charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license. Your bond is $1,500. Sir, I'm going to let you sign that with the signature bond. You'll have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want me to read them to you?
Yes, read it to me. Sorry.
You want me to read them to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, indicates on July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at Highway 85 at Forest Parkway at approximately 9:53, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: driving with license suspended. You were operating 2012 Chevy Malibu on Georgia roadways on July 6, 2020, when your privilege to do so was suspended on June 15, 2020. On July 6, 2020, Bowman was operating his 2012 Chevy Malibu with an expired temporary tag. All right, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Since I'm going to let you sign a signature bond, I will need for you to just sign the waiver of the preliminary hearing, and you will get your next court date in the mail. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Your Honor, Burrows on your list?
You said what? Brown, Shane Brown?
Hey, Burrows.
Burrows? What if I have a Kevin Burrows.
Okay,
Do you have a Shane Brown also?
that's Shane Brown. Shane Brown's at the podium.
Okay. Yeah, then Kevin Burrows is next. All right, you're Mr. Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you're charged with battery. Your bond is $4,000. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
You said what?
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Read to me.
All right, indicates on July 6, 2020, Clayton County, Georgia, at 977 Shield Crest Way in Forest Park at approximately 20:39 hours. Did commit the following violations of Georgia law: battery, family violence, and that said offender did on or about July 6, 2020. Commit the act of battery, and that offender did intentionally cause visible bodily harm to the victim, Shane Jannard Brown, when he pushed the victim and pulled his shirt, causing minor red scratches on the victim's chest. The victim is the offender's father, and both parties reside together, making this incident an act of family violence. All right, you have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond and to have no violent or harassing contact with your father, Shane Jannard Brown. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $4,000 bond?
I have 800 in my property.
Okay. And do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
What do that include?
Your preliminary hearing is your probable cause hearing. It would be held on August 11th, or you can waive that hearing and expedite your case to state court, and you get a hearing in about 10 days in state court.
Yeah, I need a hearing in 10 days.
Okay, so they'll have a waiver form for you to sign, and then you'll be excused. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right, Kevin Burrows, and after Mr. Burrows will be Tony Bernard Harden. Are you Mr. Burrows? You Mr. Burrows?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir. So you're charged with aggravated assault. You have no bond set at this time due to the nature of the charges. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Nicole Spencer, and also not to violate any laws while on bond. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Them read, but I wasn't even that. My landlord and my.
Hold on, sir. On July 4th, 2020 at 4110 John Arnold Circle in Conley, did commit the offense of aggravated assault with intent to rape, murder, or rob against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did make an assault upon his living ex-girlfriend, Nicole Spencer, with intent to rape, murder, or rob said victim by pointing a black .380 Ruger toward the victim and firing one round at her. The victim advised that she was able to get out of the way of the bullet, and it went past her and hit the drywall located in the kitchen of their home. The victim advised that incident occurred after a verbal argument between her and the offender after he had brought an unknown woman to their home without notifying the victim. The victim further advised that the offender was drinking an alcoholic beverage, Crown Royal Apple, during the verbal argument. This incident occurred in Clayton County, Georgia. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. Tony Harden. After Mr. Harden will be DeAndre Hatfield. Tony Harden.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you're charged with violation of Georgia Controlled Substances Act. You have no bond set because you're on probation in Clayton County Superior Court. Use of possession of drug-related objects, $1,500 bond. Possession of a weapon during a crime, no bond because you're on probation. Possession of a firearm by a felon. I denied that warrant because the officer didn't put the information in his application. And improper lane change, $500 bonds. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Yes, read them to me, please.
All right. On July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 240 Flint River Road, at approximately 17:30. You did commit the following violations of Georgia law: possession of crack cocaine, drug-related objects, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, possession of a firearm by a felon, failure to maintain lane. In that said offender did operate a 2020 BMW, Florida tag JKN J79 on Flint River Road, failing to maintain its lane. The passenger also did not have a seatbelt on. I made contact with the driver identified as Hardin. I could smell a strong odor of marijuana emitting from inside the vehicle. I conducted a probable cause search of the vehicle. In the center console, I located a bag of white crystal-like rock substance, crack cocaine. In the back of the passenger seat was a car 9mm handgun. In the center console is a red scale. Hardin was charged with criminal attempt or conspiracy to violate the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a special condition not to violate any laws if you are released on bond. Your preliminary hearing is set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. All right, DeAndre Hatfield. After Mr. Hatfield will be Timothy Hollis. All right, are you Mr. Hatfield? All right, sir, you're charged with battery, family violence. You have no bond set at this time because you're currently on 5 years probation in Clayton County Superior Court, 2018 CR 04558. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
I already know.
All right. You have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Maisha Brock and not to violate any laws if you are released on bond. Going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing to expedite your case to state court? No? All right. Your hearing will be set for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. All right, Timothy Hollis. And after Mr. Hollis will be Krayshawn Howard. All right, you Mr. Hollis?
Hello.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You're charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, $5,000 bonds, fleeing from a police officer, $1,500 bonds, possession of marijuana, 1 ounce or less, $1,500 bonds. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're out on bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want them read to you?
Ma'am, I don't understand the question.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges or do you want me to read the warrant to you?
What exactly are you asking me, ma'am?
All right, on July 6th, 2020 in Clayton County, at Forest Parkway at Old Dixie Road at approximately 1:14 a.m. did commit the following violations of Georgia law: DUI, fleeing from police, marijuana less than 1 ounce. In that said offender did operate a 2018 Toyota Camry number CIF 3127 unsafely on I-75 northbound ramp at Forest Parkway while under the influence of an alcoholic beverage or beverages. The offender did flee from police at the intersection of Forest Parkway and Old Dixie Road while the officer attempted to conduct a traffic stop with emergency lights activated. The offender did have marijuana in the driver's side door of his vehicle that he was in sole control of and was the sole occupant of. this incident occurred in Clayton County. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe that you'll be able to post your $8,000 bond?
How much is that total?
$8,000.
So I would have to pay how much today?
Okay, you'd have to check with the bonding company, or you could pay the full amount in cash. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
I don't know what waive means, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna set it for, so you have an opportunity to speak with your attorney. I'm gonna set it for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir.
Leave the pen stickers on.
So I do, ma'am, I do have bail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, $8,000 for all three charges.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Love Clayton Howard. And then next will be Maurice Martin Floyd.
Mr. Howard is in medical.
Okay, so we're gonna do him last?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now put him at the end. All right, you're Mr. Martin Floyd?
No, no, no.
Maurice Martin Floyd?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Sean.
Okay, and then next will be Thomas Kinsey. All right, all right. Sir, you are charged with criminal trespass, damage to property. Your bond is $1,500. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
You can read them to me.
Okay, the warrant indicates, defendant Maurice Marcel Martin Floyd did on March 2nd, 2020 at 159 Pear Tree Lane in Riverdale, commit the offense of criminal trespass, damage to property against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did intentionally damage the property of Ms. Tahia Ward's 2016 Kia Forte door handles of the driver's side and the passenger side door while arguing with her without the consent of the property owner, and the damage thereto is $500 or less. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while you're on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Tahia Ward. Do you believe you'll be able to post your bond, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
No.
All right, it will be set for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Leave the pen stickers on.
I'm sorry, I didn't really know what waiver mean. Should I waiver it? I don't know.
If you bond out, it'll automatically be waived and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Got
But
it.
right now it's set for August 11th.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Yeah, I'm just grabbing this.
Thomas Kinsey, and after Mr. Kinsey will be Aaron Miller. All right, you, Mr. Kinsey?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good, ma'am.
Hold on. All right, you are charged with obstructing an officer, a $1,500 bond, loitering or prowling, $1,000 bond, disorderly conduct, $1,500 bond, and arson in the third degree. You have no bond on that charge because you're on 9 years probation in DeKalb County Superior Court. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or would you like them read to you? Do you know what you're charged with, or do you want me to read the warrant?
What warrant?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It indicates on July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at 5420 Riverdale Road in College Park at approximately 4:50 a.m. did commit the following violations of Georgia law: obstruction of an officer, loitering and prowling, disorderly conduct, arson in the third degree, and that said offender was seen on property by stealth monitor, possibly trying to steal a dumpster, Police Officer Smith gave verbal commands for the male to stop, kept walking. John Doe kept walking toward Riverdale Road. John Doe stated he does not live on property, nor would he provide any reason to why he was on the property. Subject there was immediate concern of criminal activity with exact match of previous description. This happened in Clayton County. Said you did light the trash can at the MARTA bus stop at the incident location. This was 5930 Riverdale Road. Without authority, offender was caught on camera walking from the incident immediately as the fire started. Subject's actions caused immediate breach of the peace and safety concerns for the public. Owner of the property was not present. Video showed only the offender leaving the area of the fire and leaving towards the incident location. Estimated damage is, I think, more than $2,500 or $250. All right.
Can I say something?
Not about the facts of the case. You'll have to speak with your attorney about that. Hold on, sir. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, man.
Yes, ma'am.
I came in here with a name. My name Terrell, and they forced me to say my name Tom McKenzie, and I don't know who Tom McKenzie is, man. I came in with the name of Terrell, and they told me with law and instruction. That's all I came.
Make sure. Okay, so I'm going to appoint an attorney to you. So make sure that you let your attorney know, and they'll get the whole name situation straightened out. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Aaron Miller. And then after Mr. Miller will be DeGraft Osei. You, Mr. Miller?
Hey, how you doing, Michelle?
I'm good. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, you're charged with violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act for possession of crack cocaine. Your bond is $5,000. You're charged with violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act for possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. After reviewing the warrant, I did not find probable cause for that. I dropped it down to misdemeanor possession of marijuana. You're charged with drug-related, and that bond is $1,500. Use or possession of drug-related objects, $1,500. Violation of the seatbelt law, $500 bond. Possession of a weapon during a crime, $10,000 bond. Theft by receiving stolen properties, $7,500 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Can you maybe read them to me?
All right. On July 6, 2020, in Clayton County, Georgia, at 240 Flint River Road, at approximately 17:30 hours, did commit the following violations of Georgia law. 2 counts of VGCSA, drug-related objects, no seatbelt, possession of a firearm during a felony, theft by receiving. And that said offender, Miller, was a passenger in the front seat of a 2020 BMW Florida tag JKNJ79 and stopped the vehicle for Miller not wearing a seatbelt and failure to maintain lane. Upon speaking with the driver, identified as Tony Harden and Miller, I smelled a strong odor of marijuana coming from the car. I conducted a probable cause search of the car and located in the center console 2 bags of white rock substance, crack cocaine, in the back seat. Behind the passenger seat was a black and silver car handgun. In the trunk of the car, a black bag was located. In the bag was 2 bags of green leafy substance, marijuana. A black Glock 19 serial number BFST093 was located. The Glock was reported stolen out of the ATF. Also was bags and scales located in the bag. Miller's medicine was in bottles in the book bag. Only reason I dropped the marijuana down to a misdemeanor is because the officer did not put the amount of marijuana located in the two bags. So I dropped it down. Later, the DAs, they might weigh it. If it's more than an ounce, they'll charge it as a felony. But for right now, based upon what the officer wrote, I didn't have a weight listed, so I just charged it as a misdemeanor. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your bond, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you'll be able to post your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And your preliminary hearing is set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
DeGraft Osei.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Are you Mr. Osei?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon. And then next will be Sheldon Percy. Sir, Mr. Osei, you're charged with driving on a suspended license, a $1,500 bond, suspended registration, $500 bond, improper backing, $500 bond. All right, sir. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Right to me.
All right. On July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at 1400 Flat Shoals Road, at approximately 17:35, did commit the following violations of Georgia law: suspended driver's license, suspended registration, and improper backing. In that, said offender did operate a Hyundai Sonata affixed with Georgia RSA 4933. The vehicle entered the road safety check at 1400 Flat Shoals Road and stopped in the middle of the roadway and backed up improperly into oncoming traffic. The offender was stopped at, I can't read the street name, something way, Flat Shoals Road. It was confirmed through NCIC the offender had a suspended driving status. It was also confirmed the vehicle's registration was suspended through NCIC. Sir, you'll have a bond condition not to violate any laws while out on bond. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you think you'll be able to post your $2,500 bond?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Yes, please.
All right. So they'll have a waiver form for you to sign. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sheldon Percy. After Mr. Percy will be Syed Richard. All right. Are you Mr. Percy?
Ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. You're charged with battery. Your bond is $4,000. Cruelty to children in the third degree, $2,000 bond. Simple assault, $3,000 bond. Aggravated assault, $10,000 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you, sir?
Richard.
All right. On July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia, at 11015 Terra Boulevard, apartment 417 in Hampton, Georgia, at approximately 11:55 p.m., did commit the following violations of Georgia law: battery, family violence, cruelty to children in third degree, simple assault, family violence, aggravated assault, family violence, and that said offender did commit the act of battery, and that offender caused visible bodily harm, scratches to the victim, Kasha Percy, face by physically fighting as the offender tried to put her out of the residence. The victim and offender are legally married. The victim and offender's daughter, Sierra Percy, witnessed the offense. The offender did attempt to cause physical injury to the victim by walking toward the victim with a kitchen knife This incident did occur in Clayton County, Georgia. The offender appeared to be under the influence of alcoholic beverages, and the odor of an alcoholic beverage was on the offender's breath. You'll have a special condition to stay away and have no contact with Kasha Perry. Also not to return to or go upon the premises located at 11015 Terra Boulevard, apartment 417 in Hampton, and not to violate any laws while on bond. If you need to go back and get any personal belongings, you'll have to contact the sheriff's office to get an escort. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe you'll be able to post your bond?
Yes.
All right. And your preliminary hearing is set for August 10th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir. All right, Syed Richard, and after Mr. Richard will be Marshall Turner. All right, are you Mr. Richard?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon. So you're charged with battery, $4,000 bond, theft of services, $2,000 bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
When you say that, what you gonna tell me what happened? Because I don't know what happened.
Okay, I can read the warrant. Indicates on July 3rd at 7363, defendant did commit the offense of battery, physical contact, provoke against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did intentionally cause substantial physical harm to Kenneth Betts, being male who was not related, causing visible bodily injury by pushing the offender multiple times, causing him to fall into a rack of steel pipes, resulting in a visible laceration on his right forearm, approximately 3 inches long, that was visibly bleeding, as well as 2 smaller lacerations on his left palm, which were also visibly bleeding.
And this is a mechanic we're talking about?
I don't know. It just had his name, Kenneth Betts. On July 3rd at 7363 Terra Boulevard, Jonesboro, did commit the offense of theft of services against the state of Georgia, and that said defendant did, by deception and with the intent to avoid payment, knowingly obtain exhaust installation services, which is available only for compensation, by physically assaulting the victim and fleeing the scene without paying for the services. Said services having a value of $1,500 or less. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Oh, that mean I can bond out?
You can bond out regardless. If you do bond out, the hearing would automatically be waived by law, and you get your next court date in the mail. You want to waive it? All right, so they'll have a waiver form for you to sign. Then, like I said, once you bond out, you get your next court date in the mail. Thank you, sir.
One question for you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
If I was gone for the holiday, July 2nd till yesterday, and I came back to file my...
Okay, so any defense that you have, you'll have to speak with your attorney about it. So I've appointed an attorney because I can't give you any legal advice as the judge, okay? So you have to speak with the attorney about that.
It's 6,000 and it's 10 to 15% of that, right?
Yeah, call the bonding company. They'll let you know the exact amount.
My bad.
Thank you, sir. Marshall Turner, after Mr. Turner will be Lyro Derek Wilcox. Good afternoon. Are you Mr. Turner?
Good afternoon.
All right. Sir, you are charged with driving with no license. You have a $1,000 bonds. I'm gonna let you sign. I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance and let you sign a signature bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
Your Honor, can you read it to me, please?
All right, July 6th, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 5436 Riverdale Road at approximately 12:42 p.m. Did commit the following violations of Georgia law: driving with no license, and that said offender did operate a motor vehicle on Georgia roadways in which a traffic stop was being conducted on. Subject advised he did not have a valid Georgia driver's license. Clayton County Communications confirmed you had a suspended driver's license. All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And since I am going to let you sign on a signature bond, I'll need for you to sign a waiver of your preliminary hearing, and you'll get your next court date in the mail.
Yes, ma'am. Will
Right.
Today?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, whenever they process the paperwork.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Claro Derek Wilcox?
He's in medical. He's gonna be done last, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, then I think I just have, oh. So there's two people in medical then?
It's three.
Mr. Wilcox and Mr. Howard?
It's three people in medical, and this is your last one. What's your last name?
Wentz.
This is Mr. Wentz. And then-
Okay. What about Joseph Melee? He's a fugitive. Is he in medical?
We don't even have him on the sheet.
Joseph Angelo Lewis Melee. I can give you his LE number.
Yeah, he wasn't, nobody added him to our list.
Well, I have his paperwork. So you want his LE number?
He's in medical, he's in medical as well. He's in M21.
Who?
Joseph Melee.
Okay, so Melee, Wilcox, and Howard are in medical?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Okay. All right, and you're Mr. Wentz?
That's correct, ma'am.
All right. All right. So good afternoon, sir. You are charged with disorderly conduct. Well, no, you're charged with cruelty to children, but after I read the warrant, I changed the charge to disorderly conduct. You have a $1,500 bond, special condition not to violate any laws while you are out on bond. Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read to you?
I would like it read to me, please.
Right, indicates on July 6, 2020 in Clayton County, Georgia at 7062 Spine Road. Said offender did use vulgar, profane language in the presence of children during a verbal confrontation. The parent of kids accused repeated the word F-U-C-K as small kids looked on as altercation occurred during verbal confrontation. The accused told parents of children, I need to get the F-U-C-K back 6 feet repeatedly in front of her kids. All right. Sir, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you believe you'll be able to post your $1,500 bond?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing?
Sure.
All right. So they'll have a waiver form for you to sign, and then you'll be excused. Thank you, sir. You'll get your next court date in the mail.
All right, so I'll have a bond today?
Yeah, the bond is $1,500.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Okay, so everyone else is in medical?
Yes, we're gonna go disconnect and take it to medical, and then I'll, we'll get those paperwork for him to sign too.
Okay.
Be just a minute.
All right. Judge Fox. Yes.
Did you send the paperwork to anybody?
Send what paperwork?
Fugitive paperwork. Or just get them to sign one.
I have it.
You want
They just sent me one form.
Oh, I got
Usually
it.
I send it back after, or they sign it.
Okay, so. All right.
Do you need me to scan it and send it now?
Well, I mean, we gonna need it. We gonna probably.
Do you want her to scan it and send it to us?
I mean, she can, I mean, we just need to get some copies made.
Right,
We
because
can get it.
she can scan it, send it to us when we get it from intake.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
All right, yes,
So,
please,
we're gonna get the
Judge Fox, if you can send it to me.
Okay.
What email address?
Mine's,
Okay,
We're gonna just get the judge to send to. All right.
all right,
thanks.
you're welcome.
that makes you sign that stuff right quick.
This is
This is who?
Wilcox.
Wilcox, okay. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Wilcox. You're charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000. You have a special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. Also to have no violence or harassing contact with Alicia Brown. The warrant indicates on July 2nd, 2020 at 5801 Riverdale Road, B40 Apartment H in Atlanta. You did commit the offense of criminal trespass, damage to property at approximately 12:20. The offender did commit the act of criminal trespass, and that offender did intentionally damage the residence by changing the locks. The property of Alicia Brown, who is the offender's girlfriend. The victim was unable to unlock the apartment door with the key that she was properly given by the leasing office. The victim and the offender do live together in the same location. Sir, I have appointed an attorney to represent you. You have the option of having a preliminary hearing on August 11th, or you can waive that hearing, expedite your case to state court and get a hearing in about 10 days. Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing? Do you want to waive your preliminary hearing, sir? All right, I'm going to set it for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. If you, yes?
That was my house. I wouldn't trespass.
If you bond out before that date, that hearing will automatically be waived by law and you'll get your next court date in the mail. Thank you, sir.
Both of y'all.
Okay, you have Love Krayshawn Howard.
Yes.
Is that him at the door?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Howard, you're charged with reckless conduct, $3,000 bond, discharging a firearm near the highway, $2,500 bond, discharging a firearm on the property of another, $2,500 bond. You have a total bond of $8,000. Special condition not to violate any laws while on bond. The warrant indicates on July 6, 2020 at 262 Indian Lake Drive in Morrow. You did commit the above offenses by discharging a black in color Glock 27 40 caliber, serial number DLZ 946, because you're upset about someone who had physically assaulted his child. It was said that the offender went outside in the front of the location and fired one shot, possibly into the air, which was heard by his mother, complainant Anika Woodley, and several other residents who stayed nearby. No one witnessed the defendant actually discharging the firearm, but it was said that he was the only person standing near the location where a fresh 40 caliber shell casing was recovered. When I was approaching the scene, I saw the defendant coming from the patio area in front of 283 Indian Lake Drive, where that loaded firearm was recovered. The firearm was sitting inside the open bag of clothes, which was in plain view at the time. The defendant made a remark stating how we found the gun inside the house when it was found in the exact area of where he was and when I arrived on scene. Ms. Woodley also stated that the defendant was in possession of the firearm when he was outside her residence. She also stated that she went back inside the residence because of how belligerent he was acting. She said once inside, that's when she heard the loud gunshot sound. She stated when she came back, she saw her son standing in front of her residence with his firearm still in his waist area, but believed that he discharged it out of anger. It was clear that the defendant's action was reckless, where he could have caused bodily harm or endangered the bodily safety of another person. By consciously disregarding a substantial and unjust fire risk that his act or omission will cause harm or endangering the safety of the other person. The location of where that firearm was discharged was a location other than his residence, and the location of this incident was less than 50 yards away from South Lake Parkway, which is a roadway. Sir, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. Set your preliminary hearing for August 11th at 8 o'clock in courtroom 202. Thank you, sir.
What was the bond amount?
The total bond is $5,000, $3,000 on the reckless conduct, and then $2,500 on each of the firearm charges.
Total.
Total is $8,000.
8,000, yes. Okay.
All right, and then we have Joseph Melee.
Joseph Melee? What's your last name? Male?
Male, okay. Sir, good afternoon. I'm Judge Salvia Fox. You're charged with being a fugitive from justice. You have no bond set because you are wanted by Aroostook County Sheriff's Office in Maine for sexual assault. 2019 402270027, a felony which they wish to extradite you. You have the option of voluntarily returning back to Maine or contesting extradition. If you voluntarily return, they will have 10 business days to come here to Georgia to pick you up. If you want to contest extradition, you can contest 4 things: whether the extradition documents are in order on their face, whether you are charged with a crime that actually exists in Maine, whether you are the person named in the request for extradition documents, whether you are in fact a fugitive from justice. I'll appoint an attorney to represent you. We can hold you up to 90 days waiting for an extradition hearing to be scheduled. Do you want to voluntarily return back to Maine?
Yes.
All right, so they'll have some waiver forms for you to sign, and then Maine will be contacted to come pick you up.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
I think that's everybody, Your Honor.
All right, I think so too. Y'all have a good day.
You too.